Welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you. Welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you on this Tuesday night edition of the Philly Guy Speaks. And had a little hiccup there at the start. I did not close out the audio properly, the overlay music, the intro that I was using for tonight. So yeah, I screwed up, and you know what? I have it up here, but it's not up. It's not up the soundboard the way I usually have it. But let me give myself one of those. There you go. Anyways, welcome in. Joe Quills here with you. A lot to talk about here on this Tuesday night. Going to talk some NFL football here. We got the final two teams left. They'll be playing in Vegas in about 12 days in Allegiant Stadium. Give some thoughts on the two games and also what I think in regards to the game itself. Also got, I'm going to have some breaking news. It's not really that breaking, but some people do know about this, but not a lot of people. But I'm just going to let the rest of the world know. So some people do know what's going on. Some people don't. And you'll be impressed. But we'll get to that. So we're going to talk a lot of football here tonight. Got an update on Brian Johnson, the OC of the Detroit Lions. Got a Bob Baffert update. Going to talk some NBA, not necessarily related to what's going on right now, but a fun thing that's going to happen at the All-Star Weekend coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm sure SJ knows about this, but even if she doesn't, I'm sure she will. I mean, I know she's heard about this, but and I'll give an update on that stolen Jackie Robinson statue in Kansas. I'll give you my thoughts on that as well. So, hope everybody's doing well out there. I am less than 72 hours away from my first vacation of 2024. And yeah, I'd like to space out my vacations as much as possible. And I do not like to break my vacations into days. And I'm a firm believer that you get 5 weeks, you take them in weeks. Now, granted, they come in handy when you have a very last-minute emergency that comes up. But, you know, in my case, you know, I'm boring as hell. And, you know, I'm so used to taking everything in a week format, that WEEK format, that, you know, I really like taking a full week. Those 5 days turn into 9 days when you get the Saturday and Sunday after the holiday off. And I'm trying to turn my TV down here. 1 second, guys. There we go. Just wanted to turn it down a little bit more because of the fact that I got Colorado State and San Diego State on right now. Colorado State's up 10 on San Diego State. Colorado State was favored in this game, but I will still call it a bit of an upset brewing. But, you know, hopefully by the end of the show I can tell you, did I win my wager or did I not? And one way you can find out about my wagers is on the Pikkit app, Pikkit. If you download the app and you use my code, which is field goal 7450, let me just confirm that because I'm probably transposing the numbers. I know the wording is correct. Yes, field goal 74.50. You put that in. You link up a couple of your. You link up your online accounts or your accounts that are on your phone. You link them up, and you use my code. And as long as those bets have $10, 10, at least 10 wagers on them, Pikkit will give you between $3 and $100. They'll give me between $3 and $100, and you get to be a part of a fun group there that I steer away every once in a while because I have money issues, and then I don't because I'm winning left and right. But we're having fun here tonight, and as I kick the cord out of my computer here because I'm an idiot. There we go. So let's get to it here. So if you go to Pikkit, field goal 7450, that's my code. And then do whatever you have to do because it's been a while since I actually put in, since I created my account. It keeps track of all your wagers that you do online, all your sportsbook wagers, I should say. And it's really a fun app. And, you get to talk to people, I mean, I had one guy tailing my 5-team parlay that didn't come in. I hope he tailed the South Carolina wager I had tonight, the Marquette wager I had tonight, but the 5-team parlay went down the toilet. But Pikkit, Pikkit, whether you use Google Play or the iPhone app, the iPhone store, it's a fun little thing that you can do, and a fun little interaction with people that like to gamble. And always bet within your means, 1-800 Gambler, all that fun stuff. So let's get to it here. So we get to the NBA NBA, Jesus Christ. Excuse me for 1 second. Excuse me while I whip this out. So we're down to the final two in the NFL. And the Super Bowl is set. And of course, nobody is liking the Super Bowl matchup because it is the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. And thankfully, we do not have to deal with all the conspiracy theorists who saw that Super Bowl 57 or 56 was orange and yellow, and it turned out to be Cincinnati and the Rams. Last year, it was red and green, so it was Eagles and Chiefs. Then, this year was red and purple, so everybody was thinking, since the middle of the season, they're like, San Francisco and Baltimore. Well, we got San Francisco, but in the early game, we did not get Baltimore. And if you listen to me on Thursday's show, and apologies for those that got the podcast late on Saturday. So much stuff going on away from this little portion of my world, whether it's the my work world or all the other stuff that I do on the side. Those little things I do to keep myself busy because I'm not the type of person that sits and relaxes. I'm always working. With my surprise, I don't know how I'm going to relax for 8 hours. Well, not 8, but you get the idea. You'll see why I said 8 hours after the fact. But I really feel like I have to keep myself busy because I don't like being bored. And that's why when it's time for me to retire in 15, 20 years, I'm going to be bored out of my mind. And that's why, if I were to take a quote-unquote retirement package from my current employer, retirement with finger quotes, because that's probably the way I should say it. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. Now, granted, that money wouldn't last that long. And, you hear, if you heard the numbers, you'd be like, that's interesting. But I know it's not going to last long. And I know I would be pissing the money away at the racetrack for a little while and at the casino. I would do that every once in a while. But, you also got to be smart and do your thing. Invest that money. Make sure your bills are paid off. Because it's nice to have money, but make sure your bills are paid off first before you dabble in gambling. That's the one thing I always preach to you guys is in playing these races and stuff like that. The races I have on bleacherbrothers.com, and the link is over there as well. Very easy to find. So the one thing I will tell you, when I watch that game, and I wasn't really mentally into the game, and it just seemed like there was a lot of mistakes by Baltimore. It's just like, oh, we'll just turn it on against Kansas City. And, Kansas City's defense, give them credit. Their defense has been keeping them in games all year, especially with an offense which has not been one of the best, probably the worst offense in the 6 years that Mahomes has played and started. But you gotta give Andy Reid credit for doing everything he did with the team and getting that defense the way it's been cranked up all year. And salute to them because they really played a hell of a game against Baltimore. They kept Lamar Jackson in check, and it just seemed like every time Baltimore was about to answer, Kansas City did just enough. An interception, a fumble inside the 1 yard line, not at the one, inside the one, and they recover it. Those things that happen, they were doing just enough to win. And, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, and I know me, because even though I'm glad that we got to shut up the conspiracy theorists for at least a week, but I'm happy that the conspiracy theorists got shut down. But Kansas City is going to be a team that really, the whole thing is going to be about defense for them this year. And, and kind of like the way New England was in Super Bowl 53. Their offense wasn't clicking in the game itself, but their defense kept them in. Even though they were leading at the time like 6-3 at the end of the third quarter or something like that. Kansas City has done what they have to do to win. They got just enough offense, just enough yardage. They got a big play at the end of the fourth quarter there to ice the game, and they advanced to the Super Bowl. And, it just seemed like, the one thing I was concerned with, and the thing is with me, more times than not, I'm not going to talk about X's and O's. I'm going to give you gut feel. I'm going to give you some stuff that you're going to be like, Joe, really? And, and I'm wrong more times than I'm right, probably. Although I finished up the month of January on the Philly fade well over 500, making a profit. But, sometimes you just have to say, I just got this gut feeling. And my gut feeling was Baltimore playing at home for the first time in franchise history. Even though some of you will say, wait a second, weren't they the Cleveland Browns? Well, yes and no. They were, but in terms of NFL history, their history with the Cleveland Browns stayed in Cleveland They were a um, they were a um, they were considered a new franchise when they moved to Baltimore, even though they came from Cleveland. So typical NFL stuff. Um, but yeah, so Baltimore was playing their first home game in franchise history, kind of like the same way the Phillies never played a Game 7 up until the League Championship Series. The Phillies crapped the bed. Baltimore crapped the bed. And I really think that Baltimore just said, you know what, our defense is going to do our thing, and we're just going to steamroll them like we've been doing most teams all year. We're going to steamroll them just like we did Houston. And you couldn't. If you're just thinking, oh, we steamroll Houston, we're just going to steamroll Kansas City. You can't think that way. And I don't think they did. It's just Lamar Jackson never been there. You know, the franchise has never hosted an AFC Championship game up until last weekend. It just seemed like. I mean, if it was like Houston and Baltimore playing for the Super Bowl instead of in the divisional round, I probably would have said, yeah, Baltimore is going to steamroll them. But when you have an experienced team, especially a defending Super Bowl champion, you knew it wasn't going to be good for them. And, say what you will about Kansas City, because I know a lot of people out there got Kansas City fatigue, and that's even before Taylor Swift got involved. And I was having a discussion with somebody on Facebook today. Didn't really hijack the comment section, but I did bring up some good points here because they're tired of seeing Taylor Swift, and they don't show that much of Taylor Swift. It's just that it's just predictable. It's like, all right, Travis Kelce made a 20-yard catch. Show Taylor, come on. Oh my God, they didn't show Taylor. Oh, nope, they did. Something like that. So, but yeah, I can understand why people are sick of Taylor. And, I'm the type of person, I couldn't care less. I want to see the stuff on the field. Maybe an occasional cheerleader. But I couldn't care less. I have some of her music in my library. It's, just because I have my online radio station. I have that. But truthfully, I'm not worried about all these things that people are worried about. I mean, yeah, it is annoying to see her jumping around 15 times a game. And some people are tired of Jason Kelce in that press box as well. Well, guess what? They're both going to be at that press box on Super Bowl Sunday. Now, Taylor Swift's going to have a bear of a travel because she's supposed to be in Japan. But, don't ask me to figure out the international dateline thing and everything else. I tried to do that with last night's Bleacher Brothers show, Monday night, if you're listening to this on Wednesday or Thursday. I tried to figure it out, and, they're saying the New York Post article was saying this, and that, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not figuring it out. Screw it. So, but it is Kansas City that's going to represent the AFC, and they are going to be facing the San Francisco 49ers, who, after not having a comeback victory, I think in the Kyle Shanahan era, they had 2 in back-to-back weeks. And, sometimes that's a trait of a champion when you're kicked and you got to do something that you've never done before and you do it 2 weeks in a row. You got a great, the resiliency of a champion, so to speak. And I'll tell you what. Sometimes you got to be. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And San Francisco's a damn good team, but let's think about it. San Francisco should have lost to Green Bay, but Anders Carlson missed that field goal. Then this past Sunday, they're down 24-7 at the half. And I said to my buddy Mike on text, because I'm trying not to get the alerts. I don't have the alerts set up for Lions and Niners, but I'm doing what I have to do. So so the one thing I said was, if they can get a touchdown at the end of the half, this game's over. But they got a field goal. So I'm like, you're kind of leaving it open, but it's still 3 possessions. So start of second half, Niners get a field goal. 24-10, 2-possession game. And the one thing that I will say is I really feel bad for Lions fans out there. I really do. And trust me, having to hear from Dallas fans, from Washington fans, from Giants fans. Thankfully, I never met SJ online until after the Eagles won the Super Bowl, because she probably would have been jokingly giving me crap as well. But you have a franchise that hasn't won since 1957. Hadn't been to an NFC Championship game since 1991. And had never played in a Super Bowl. They're 0 for 58 now. But they had a chance to do the unthinkable on Sunday when they had the lead. They were pretty much in control. And I will say this, because I mean, if you followed me on Twitter at Joe Quills, you saw me with some, what I would consider good commentary for a guy that never played football. And I'm not wearing a Detroit t-shirt, by the way. It's a Delta Downs t-shirt. This is from the last Delta Downs jackpot that they ran. Then they said, we're not going to run this anymore. But anyways, so if you were wondering if I'm wearing a Honolulu blue shirt, I'm not. It's a Delta Downs t-shirt that I won. But sometimes you have to realize analytics are great in the regular season. Sometimes it'll get you a win when you're projected to lose, and vice versa. But sometimes you got to take the points. You got to go against your analytics and react to the team making a scoring play themselves. San Francisco kicked that field goal. And, you're starting to get a little bit of momentum, but you can kind of tamp it down. It's like, if I kick a field goal here, I'm back up by 3 possessions. 7 plus 7 plus 3. So Dan Campbell decides to go for it, and they don't make it. Well, that's all the Niners needed, and the fans needed, to get themselves back on a roll. They had that goofy play on that long pass, and next thing you know, it's a 7-point game. Then they fumble again. It's a tie game. And some people said, which play cost them the most? And me personally, I say it's the first 4th down play when it was 24-10. Because, and I say it with the Eagles as well. No, go for the points. It's not in your analytics, but when you're that far ahead, match their score back. Because if you match the score, you're at a 3-possession game. And I said that this is going to cost them. And I type fairly fast, but it's just like I try to read other people's stuff as I'm typing, and sometimes I don't get it done quick enough. But I'll tell you what, you cannot. If you believe analytics is going to work all the time, then your name must be Gabe Kapler. Because Dan Campbell pulled a Gabe Kapler. I mean, if you remember the very first game that Gabe Kapler managed with the Phillies, He pulled Aaron Nola at 60-some pitches with no reason. It was like, oh, it's in my book. It's almost as bad as Rich Kotite. Oh, why'd you go for 2 there? Or why didn't you go for 2? Whichever way it was. Oh, my 2-point conversion chart was all smeared. Sometimes you just got to go with gut feeling. And sometimes you got to say, you know what? Analytics says this. Analytics says go for it. I need to match those points. And I need to get that three possession lead back. But I feel bad because Dan Campbell pulled a Gabe Kapler, did not think outside of his analytical play sheet or his analytical stats and all that other stuff. He didn't do that. He decided, I'm going with what's worked with me all year long. And truthfully, that's what cost him the game. That's what cost the Detroit fans an opportunity to forget about 67 years of anguish, 66, something like that, and play for their first championship since 1957. The NFL trying to get the paint, the code, just the color code right. So when they go order that paint for Honolulu Blue, they get it just right. They get that stencil so you can get the word Lions in the one end zone. And instead, you got a ton of red paint between the NFL logo, the AFC logo, the Super Bowl logo, and now both end zones, because you got the Chiefs and you got the Niners. And I really do feel bad for the Lions fans. If your coach said, you know what, I should go for a field goal here, and you make it 27-10, you're probably going to win this. You're probably going to win that game. But hindsight is 20/20. Even though my foresight is 20 out of whatever. And trust me, I've been through it a lot. I mean, I had Joe Carter in 1993. I had Rondé Barber in 2002. I mean, you name the sport. Oh, Leon Stickle with the Flyers in 1980. He didn't call that offside, and the Islanders won the cup. Many things with the Sixers. I mean, God, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when they lost to the Hawks in Game 7 because Ben Simmons played like he had a vagina instead of a dick. Little things. Those things are. What annoy me, but those things are what makes me understand what the Lions went through this past weekend. And I'm sure there's a lot of people there in Detroit that aren't over it, but you know what, you got to get over it somehow. You got to put your shoes on, get dressed, go to work, go to school. Because you'll find out after a while, life does go on. And trust me, as a Philly sports fan, I've done it many, many times. And, we'll see what happens. And, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Detroit. They got a ton of cap space this upcoming off season. I saw a list. I didn't print it up or anything like that, but maybe I should have, but I didn't. But so we got our matchup, and I'm probably going to have my picks one day next week. only because I'd like to play some of the props. Now, it's fitting that this is a Super Bowl in Vegas because there's a lot of ladies out there that proposition you, especially if you're a man. Hey, you're looking for some company tonight. Hey, you're lonely. You know, stuff like that. Me? Nah, I'm good. You know, because knowing my luck, I'm the type of person where, oh, you looking for some company? Yeah, sure. Okay, police. Give me your hands. Okay. Because that's my luck. My luck would be that I get arrested because, you know, I got propositioned and here it was a cop on a sting. Now, granted, you're going to say, wait, I thought prostitution is legal in Vegas, in Nevada. It is and it isn't. In Las Vegas, it isn't. In Reno, it's not. It's based upon the population of the county. And, you know, I just know that I would be, you know, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of sting action because they bring the prostitutes in no matter where the Super Bowl is. But, you know, you do have a, you know, you do have that going on. So, but, you know, do what you want. And, you know, I like to look at some of the things. Or like, for example, the one year, like the year that the New England won in overtime over Atlanta, I had that game going overtime. And it was just, I got a feeling. It's just like, F it. And it was at plus 700. I've seen it in some years up as high as 1150. And I'm just like, no, this doesn't seem like a game. Now, do I see that this game could be an overtime game? I don't know. That's a gut feeling play that I play. So, but, you know, we'll see what happens as we get closer to the big game in 11 nights. So, not 8 crazy nights, 11 more nights. So, but one news that did come down today is that Ben Johnson, I might have said Brian Johnson accidentally, but Ben Johnson of the Lions, he is staying with the Detroit Lions. Now, he was interviewed for a couple different jobs this offseason, or this January during the playoff run, and he was also interviewed by. He was also had a couple of interviews last year with Houston and Indianapolis. But you know, the one thing I did make note of here, and I think I highlighted as well. Brian Johnson. I keep saying Brian because I probably wrote Brian on my notes here before I started the show, and I'm just winging it. Ben Johnson, and not Ben Dover. He's remaining. He announced today that he's remaining with the Lions as their offensive coordinator rather than pursue the head coaching vacancies in Washington and Seattle. That's according to Adam Schefter. And sources told Schefter that some teams balked at Johnson's asking price to be a head coach. Now, who knows what it is? Maybe Adam Schefter mentioned it if he was on Pat McAfee, or he was on Dan Patrick, or wherever, or some other insider was on Dan Patrick, or whatever. You know, I haven't heard anything. You know, if that's the case or not, who knows? Wouldn't surprise me. But you know, it's probably like, hey, give me a little extra money to prove that I am, you know, that money talks more loyalty or whatever you want to say. But Commanders officials were on their way to Detroit for a meeting with both Johnson and Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn when they got word that Johnson was staying with the Lions. Now, some people said that they considered the move surprising, by several league sources. It's not. He was not considered a lock for the Washington job, despite his strong reputation as a coordinator and a loyal coach. Commander's leadership team remains eager to meet with Aaron Glenn, who is one of several candidates the team expected to consider for its head coaching vacancy. Now, I know that it's looking less and less likely with every passing day, and we haven't heard anything about this name. I know some people tried to tie this name to Kansas City if Andy Reid retires. But my gut feeling is I would not be surprised if Bill Belichick ends up in Washington. And that's just a gut feeling. I have absolutely no inside sources here. I don't have insiders. And I will give you gut feeling. And my gut feeling is wrong more than it's right. Trust me, look at my Quills Picks winners on Bleacher Brothers over the last week, because I am 0 for my last 8 races. It just makes too much sense to me that if he was offered the job, he would not take it, because he loves the U.S. Naval Academy. He loves the academies. Annapolis is not far from Washington, D.C. He can visit there. He can go in the off season and watch lacrosse, because his biggest sport is lacrosse, not football. And he can talk. He can talk about the sports. The different sports that Navy has, the military, everything. I just get the feeling that he's going to go there. I don't know why. And he's probably a 50-1 shot right now. You could probably bet that on offshore books, but I just got that feeling. Now, probably what happens is Aaron Glenn gets the job tomorrow, because I said don't be surprised in Bill Belichick being involved. I just get that feeling. I really do. But I mean, Josh Harris is the type of guy where he wants to win. And hopefully he doesn't have a process like the Sixers had. Hopefully he says, you know what, we can't afford to do the process. We have a loyal fan base here. Let's get back on track with winning. But now Johnson had also interviewed for head coaching vacancies with the Falcons, Panthers, and Chargers before those jobs were filled by Raheem Morris, Dave Canales, and Jim Harbaugh, respectively. Now, for the second straight offseason, he was considered one of the hottest names among NFL head coaching candidates, and despite receiving serious interest elsewhere, he was returned to the Lions. Now, he's only 37 years old, so he still has probably a good 30 years of football in him as a coach, I would think. Now, he is a finalist for the AP's Assistant Coach of the Year award. I think that's something that started a few years ago because of Bruce Arians, I believe. But Dan Campbell fielded many questions in recent weeks about his plans to replace Johnson if he took a head coaching opportunity, but he won't have an answer to those anytime soon, and rightfully so, because I think it's good that you have loyalty, but I think let's say Detroit takes a step back. Let's pretend here, as we're going to finish up this story here. Let's pretend that, for example, you lose in the wild card round. You have to play on the road. You got to play in Philly. Philly's back on track to being a Super Bowl team. They're the number 2 team. They won the NFC East. Detroit barely gets in. I think the way that read, I think that Dan Campbell will say, it's your time to be the guy. It's time to be the lead guy on the team, the lead coach on a team. Um, I don't think it's going to be a Eric Bieniemy situation. Now, I don't think Andy Reid did him dirty by telling him, "Hey, you need to go to another team," because I think that was a well-intentioned suggestion by Andy Reid, because I really think what he was trying to do was say, "Hey, you get that team to be respectable in offense with a quarterback where you basically say, who the f is that guy? You make them into an 8-9 team, 9-8, play for a playoff spot. You'll get that final boost to get you over the top, to get you a head coaching position." Things didn't go well. And truthfully, I don't think Eric Bieniemy went necessarily a bad position. I just think that, things happen with the team, and things don't go as planned. You end up 4-13, 5-12, whatever they finished up. It's a learning experience, and even though Bieniemy's starting to get up there in age, I don't know how old he is. I'm not going to look it up on my computer here. You got to realize that everything's all great, but sometimes you got to take that step back to make the final step forward. Eagles are realizing that this year. Hopefully, it's back in the right direction. But we'll see. But like, for example, the Eagles, and this is Philly guy speaks on because of the name. It's not because even though I am from Philadelphia, it's not about Philadelphia with me. But I can do a whole show without talking Philly. But the offensive and defensive coordinator positions were filled since I last talked to you on Thursday. Vic Fangio resigned with the Dolphins, comes back to Philly. He's bringing in a couple of his guys from Seattle, a couple of his assistants who's going to come over. One's a defensive line coach, another, I forget what position he holds. So, they know how to work hand in hand to get the guys to play the way that they're supposed to play. And, and with injuries, combination, if you get lucky on the injuries and everything else, defense should be fine. And then the Eagles the other day signed Kellen Moore, the former Chargers offensive coordinator, also the Dallas Cowboy coordinator before that. And, I'm not necessarily sold on Kellen Moore. But, if he's the type of guy, whether it's motion plays and stuff like that, if you can do that, then, if you can get this offense back to where it's not predictable, I think you got a chance. I think he's a good choice. But, I'm wait and see with him. I'm wait and see with Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio, he had that 1 year as head coach, which was a disaster. But, not all defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators are cut out to be head coaches. Some are, some not. But, be interesting to see. And once they start with the OTAs, you can start getting a little bit of feel, little by little, and next thing you know, it's September, and we're ready for some football. So, but yeah, we have those positions are filled, and I'm going to say it right now, Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat. If he craps the bed this year, if the Eagles crap the bed this year, Nick Sirianni's as good as gone. That's my opinion. But I would not be surprised if I also wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles go to the Super Bowl. And the Eagles are plus 2,200 on DraftKings right now. I did my initial search, and Houston is plus 2,000 right now. And you know I'm high on Houston right now because what's his face, C.J. Stroud will be a second-year quarterback, and you know rookie quarterbacks don't go to Super Bowls. Don't care how good you are, but you know you do have. This is going to be his second year, and I think that he's got a great chance to make a run towards that Super Bowl for Houston. So, now I was talking about loyalty before, and I saw this today, and I made a note of it because, as you know, I am the degenerate of Bleacher Brothers. And I don't know how many people of my Bleacher Brothers crew, because you know they pump up my stuff a lot, you know, on their show. Even they say, you know, I even say, hey, did you play Portland last night? Because I said during the show, because AJ has his spot at the start of the show where he says, these are my NBA picks for tonight. So I said, Portland money line, because I knew Embiid was out. But I didn't know that Maxey was out as well with an injury, and there was a third guy that was out. And when I saw it, it was Portland on the money line was plus 270. So I kind of forgot about it. And I was like, you know what, let me put $50 in the account. AJ, he's in Florida, so he can only bet on the Hard Rock Bets app with Hard Rock Casino. And that was at plus 300 on that app. But I did give him that. Don't know if he played it. I did at plus 190. It went down that much, but I still got the win. And congrats to me on a nice win there. So it was nice to have a money line wager where you're up 20 late in the fourth quarter, because it's like, whew, don't have to worry about that one. But talking about loyalty, yeah, I'm loyal to Bleacher Brothers. They're loyal to me, even if they don't play my wagers. And you know what? That's fine. Life gets in the way sometimes. But some owners that have their horses, their 3-year-old horses, in the care of Bob Baffert, are taking a stand of being loyal to Bob Baffert and not moving their horses to another stable so that they can get the Kentucky Derby points to make it to the Kentucky Derby on the first Saturday of May. That is because Bob Baffert is now in his 3rd year of suspension, and you know, in some ways I'm glad he got suspended another year for his comments. But some of it, you know, but in a way I'll also say, well, guess what? You know, even though it's a private entity and their house, their rules, basically, it's kind of like me going to the supermarket. I don't have shoes on. They can tell me to leave. Why? I don't see a sign. Our house, our rules. Get out. You know, something like that. But, you know, if I don't like that you're wearing a Dallas Cowboys shirt, I could technically kick you out. I'm not going to. My house, my rules. Kind of like my house, my rules. We do not watch Penn State in this apartment. That's my rules. But as you know, Bob Baffert had a post-race positive incurred by disqualified Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit. He crossed the line first in 2021, but he was disqualified after the horse tested positive for a therapeutic substance that is not permitted to be in a horse's system on race day. And the way that they've run these races, especially within the last 5 years, you can't have anything in your system. So, but the thing is, every state has their own rules, and Kentucky's rules are straightforward, nothing. So, and Bob Baffert waffled on this a little bit, and he was going through the court system numerous times, trying to get his horses in for last year, trying to get the horses in this year, and he mouthed off to Fox Sports before the Belmont. He said, "Listen, he said what he said about. I think it was about, I did nothing wrong, blah blah blah." See, the reason why he was suspended, and why it got extended another year, it isn't just the one. You had 5 in a 12-month period that we know of. At least I think it was a 12-month period back in 2020 and leading to the 2021 Derby. So little by little, you're, I mean, if it was a one-time thing, you can fight it and you have something to say, but you had 5 in a year, and they were all on the big race days too. It wasn't some 10,000 claimer at Parks on a Tuesday that I looked at for my Quills Picks winners. It wasn't one of those races. It was always a big race. It was the Arkansas Derby. It was a race on the Arkansas Derby undercard back in 2020. You had some other races, and there's a reason why that they did what they did. Like, for example, with his horses in the Breeders' Cup, they made sure that his horses were in their own barns, in their retention barn, so that, other than caring for horses for food or whatever, you did not do anything. You could not do anything to those horses. And unfortunately, if you think about it in terms of, in a way, if you think about it in a naive way, or if it's naive, if it's not naive, whatever, some people say, well, why are they doing it? You had 5 positives in a 12-month period. You got to do something about it. But some people are saying, some people think, oh, he shouldn't have been that third year. And you know what? The only thing I will say is, you're suspending him twice for the same thing. Even though Churchill would probably argue back and say, hey, it's a second offense. He went on media and he bashed us, We were gonna take him off, but we can't take him off because he did something, And it happens all the time in horse racing. Like, you could be kicked off the grounds because you're winning at a 45% clip for an extended period of time. It's like, what the hell are you doing? And you can't find anything, so it's like, hey, you're winning too much. You gotta get out of here. But yeah, so the owners had to make a choice here, because the first payment for nominations for the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown was yesterday. And owners who had 3-year-olds with trainer Bob Baffert that were nominated in the Triple Crown did not move those horses to other barns by Monday, meaning they are ineligible to run for the Kentucky Derby on May 4th. Now, he can run those horses in those Kentucky Derby prep races. They're just not getting the points. Those points basically get forfeited. So let's say his horse in the Arkansas race this weekend, the Southwest, if let's say that horse, I think it was Winstock. If that horse wins, he doesn't get the 20 points. It's just that you just give out the points from 2 to 5. The second place horse gets 10, third place gets 5, that sort of thing. So you do have a, it's just, okay, you're not eligible, you can't get points. So, and as I said, Baffert is still under suspension for that post-race positive. Now, as a stipulation from Churchill Downs for running in the Derby, any horse trained by a suspended trainer had to be moved to another barn by Monday, which was the first Triple Crown nomination deadline. Baffert, who has won the Kentucky Derby a record equaling 6 times, technically it was 7, but he got disqualified because of Medina Spirit's positive, confirmed that his owners nominated 18 horses to this year's Triple Crown, but declined to comment further. Those horses will be eligible to compete in the Preakness on May 18th at Pimlico and the Belmont Stakes on June 8th in Saratoga. And remember, this year it is at Saratoga Racecourse because of the fact that they're doing major renovation work at Belmont that makes Belmont unusable. So, and my San Diego State pick is a loser. Colorado State's up 9 with a minute to go. Now, the decision not to move those horses from Baffert was a sign of support by owners that he takes care of these horses for. Numerous owners. Among the horses, for example, that Amir Zidane that were nominated were Muth, who won the American Pharaoh, who kicked off his 3-year-old campaign with a victory in the Grand Tour San Vicente on January 6th. Muth was my horse in the juvenile. He didn't fire in that race, I don't think. Zidane said, "We're not moving. We have our full trust in our trainer. Everything he has done has been in the best interest of the horse. He's our man." Now, Zidane was also the owner of Medina Spirit as well. He and Baffert fought vigorously in court to have the Derby disqualification overturned. January 22nd, Baffert announced in a social media post that he and Zidane were dropping any remaining litigation related to the Medina Spirit case. Despite that, Churchill Downs said it will not lift the suspension of Baffert, at least for this year's 150th running of the Derby. Zidane said, "Would I love to run in the Derby? Absolutely, yes. Would we love to run, especially this being the 150th Derby? Absolutely, yes. Are we hoping to run in the Derby? Absolutely, yes. Do we think we will be there? It's in God's hands." So, now the horses have a route, and now the one thing that's interesting here, and this is the case with the top horses out there, and it's probably the same with the lower class horses, but those that are in the claiming ranks, and you do have those lower tier horses that usually run during the week. Sometimes you can make money with those horses too, and sometimes they are money burners, and that's why they're in the claiming ranks, because they're either not good enough, or you gotta say, hey, we gotta cut costs here. Let's see if we can get some money for him and do something else, but with that, like a different horse or something. But anyways, horses have a routine and an environment we wouldn't want to disrupt, and we wouldn't want to disrupt their routine and move them from one stable to another stable. It's not good for the horse. If you focus on the well-being of the horse, you have results. And just like everything else in life, I mean, if I'm working 11:30 to 7:30, and then you're telling me, oh, I got to work 8 to 4, yeah, I'm going to be a little screwed up the first couple of days. I know I'm a bit screwed up when, like for example, on a Saturday I sleep into 11:30 because my first alarm usually goes off at 9:15 or 9 o'clock. Um, you know, I can understand that, but some people like with us, we can get used to change. Horses, other animals don't think like we do. At least we don't think so. Um, Other 3-year-old Zayden owns that were nominated to Triple Crown include Coach Prime, third in the Los Alamos Futurity, Mayman, a recent 7.5 length maiden winner, and a pair of bum race colts, Tafe and Colmus. You have all the, it's, I just think that it's nice that the owners are staying loyal to Baffert, and we think he's being clean over the last couple of years, but you did have Medina Spirit dropping dead on the track during a training session a couple of years ago. You had a horse break down in the Preakness. I forget who it was, but in some regards, those things are going to happen. Now, granted, we gotten away from breeding, drugs got involved, all that stuff. But sometimes I just wonder, would it be done? Would a leg break in the wild? And probably, but not. But we've gotten away from the classic horse and going for speed and everything that can make a horse brittle, even without the drugs. And I'm not going to deny it. There's horses out there that dope up their horses beyond recognition. And there's horses that run on race day that probably shouldn't run. But, you do, it's nice that the owners are loyal, but, you do have to wonder, is there something going on? Now, I know I heard things in the past, and I forget who I heard it from, and, it's irrelevant now, but, it just makes you wonder. And, the reason why he got suspended was because of two things. It was, one, because he had those 5 positives in like a 12-month period, and 2, it could have been your horse that finished 13th in Derby, but no, it was the winning horse. So now they got to do all this extra work and got to deal with all the legalese because Baffert had to do what he had to do, whatever he did. And I think it's fair to say that I don't have to use the word allegedly here because the positive came out. The positive is what it is. And, it is what it is. So, anyway, so now we're going to get to the NBA. And I wish SJ was here tonight because I'd like to see or hear her reaction to this. And it would be more her giving her comments about this because I know she's heard about this a million times. But there's going to be a special NBA All-Star Weekend contest. Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu are going to compete in their own 3-point shooting contest. And this is probably the one thing that I'm probably going to watch that whole weekend. And that's the end of my 2-week vacation. So, and this is probably the one thing I'll watch. Because, it isn't about battle of the sexes. Because it isn't 2 rounds where, okay, 1 round you're going to shoot with the women's balls at the women's length, and then you're going to shoot the men's balls at the men's lengths, at the men's 3-point arc. Now, they're going to have a contest on All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis. It's going to be on February 17th. It's the first time NBA and WNBA player go head-to-head. And you know what? This is great publicity for the WNBA. At least I think so. Now, according to this article from ESPN, Curry will shoot from the NBA line with NBA basketballs, while Liberty's Ionescu will shoot from the WNBA three-point line with WNBA basketballs. Now, I would like to see Curry have to shoot with WNBA balls and Ionescu with NBA balls. But, you know, that will mess them. I mean, it will mess up Curry more now, but Ionescu could get back to being, get used to using a regular women's ball as well. But you know, Curry hinted at the probability of competition a couple days ago when he was heard talking to teammate Brandon Pazinski, saying that he and Ionescu should compete. It didn't take Ionescu to take long for Ionescu to take to social media and accept the challenge. Now, I don't know if it was a real challenge or not, but you know, this is something that's going to be fun, and I'm sure it's going to be termed as Battle of the Sexes, but they're going to be with their familiar three-point line, their familiar basketball. You know, we're not going to have any curveballs here. It's going to be a fun little contest, and it's going to draw a ton of eyes. And this is something that the NBA has needed, because the slam dunk contest has gotten stale over the last 20 years, and I know everybody's trying to get rid of it. There's all kinds of other things that they try to do, but this is definitely something that will be a fun thing to do. And who knows, maybe Steph Curry reciprocates and he does it at the WNBA All-Star Game to draw more interest there as well. Who knows? But either way, I like it. Ionescu won the 2023 shootout. She scored 37 points on her 25 of 27 shooting in the three-point contest, the most in WNBA or NBA history. Curry holds the previous record at 31. So I'm excited to see that. And that's probably the one thing I'm going to watch that whole weekend. That's basketball related, because now, like for example, the regular All-Star Game, the first 3.5 quarters, there's no defense in the game until they get to the final 6 minutes or so, or when they get to the 4-minute mark where you use that point. You know, got to reach 200 points to win, and one team's at 185. You know, something like that. I forget what it's called. You know, until they decide, yeah, now we got to play defense. We can't let them win. Until they reach that point, you know, it's alley-oop city here, dunk there, three-point here, three-point there. You know, it's just like, you know, no defense whatsoever. It's like you're playing 5-on-none one way, then 5-on-none the other way, you know, something like that. But I'm excited for this contest, and hopefully we will get to see it. I will get to see it on February 17th. One final story here before I tell my news here. I think I might have mentioned this. I might not have. And let me just check this here. Yeah, I pretty much covered everything here. So I saw this today, and you know, I had a feeling something like this was going to happen. A couple of days ago, it was announced that the Jackie Robinson statue in Wichita, Kansas was stolen. I mean, they cut it right from the right from the base of the statue. Um, the feet of the statue were still there at the base, the stone base, but the rest of it was taken off in the middle of the night. Now, fire crews found that they found the burned remnants on Tuesday of a prized bronze statue of Jackie Robinson that was stolen last week from a public park in Kansas, according to authorities. Wichita Fire Department received a call about 8:40 a.m. about a trash can on fire at Garvey Park in the southern part of the city and discovered what appeared to be pieces of the statue, according to police spokesperson Andrew Ford. They described it as not salvageable. The statue, which was cut at the figure's ankles, went missing Thursday morning. It honored the first player to break the Major League Baseball color barrier in 1947. If this turns out to be racially motivated, then obviously this is a deeper societal issue and certainly would make this a much concerning theft, said Bob Lutz, executive director of the Little League nonprofit that commissioned the sculpture. We'll wait and see what this turns out to be. Now, League 42, which is named after Robinson's Dodger number, paid about $50,000 for the model, which was installed in 2021 at McAdams Park, where roughly 600 children play in the Youth Baseball League. And that they also bring in educational programs, and I'm big on education. Surveillance video showed two people hauling the structure away in the dark to a truck that was later found abandoned. Yeah, it's really disheartening to see the remnants of the statue and the disgraceful way in which it's been disrespected. Now, the police are conferring with the prosecutor's office on a regular basis, and police said there will be arrests, and we're going to make sure that when we do, we have a solid case. It's only a matter of time. Now, Jackie Robinson did play for the Kansas City Monarchs in the Negro Leagues before jumping to the Dodgers, breaking the color barrier. Robinson was not only a sports legend, but a civic rights icon. There is going to be a new statue installed that will look exactly like the old one, which was made by his friend. Let's. Just trying to find the name here. Bob Lutz, he was the executive of the Little League nonprofit. Okay. There's going to be a new statue. He said the mold is still viable, and he anticipate that a replacement could be erected within a matter of months. I'm trying to keep it together. The statue that reappears at McAdams Park will be the work of John Parsons. He stressed we are ready for some joy. Donations for replacement are coming from local businesses and through an online fundraiser. I didn't look it up. This takes us that we need a new statue, and you need to give the people that destroyed that statue the middle finger. You gotta say, hey, we don't know if this is racially motivated. We don't know if this was just something you're trying to do because it's iron or whatever metal that they used, and they're looking to replace that statue, and hopefully they do, and hopefully they find out who these guys are and they lock their asses up, because things are so screwed up in this world, in this country, and I'll tell you what, it's very disheartening to see something like this happen, no matter what race you are. I mean, just like everything else, it just seems like 2 steps forward, 6 steps back. And it seems like every time we have something like this, something always happens that set things back a long way. And I do feel bad for the people in that area that would see that statue every day. Was an inspiration to young kids, you know, but hopefully they do get that statue created and re-erected so that you can have that ready to go, just like it was never taken down. And hopefully those people that did this get locked up. So, I do have some news here. And the one thing I try to do with you guys is I try to keep you up to date with future shows. And next week is going to be a rough week. Well, not only next week, the week after. Part of that is, that I am going to be in Las Vegas next week. I'm going to be doing some work with Bleacher Brothers. I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet, but I will be out there. Get to meet some of the guys that I've only talked to in chats that we've had, you know, being on No Filter when we were on No Filter. You know, I've seen the guys on YouTube, and, you know, we talk a lot. It's just that we don't get to see each other in person that often because we're all over the country. But it'd be great to see some of the guys I've never met before. So there's definitely not going to be a live show on Tuesday because that's a travel day for me. And I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm helping out on Tony's show, on any of the other shows on the Tony Bruno Sports Network. I don't know if it's doing canvassing around the strip or whatever. You know, whatever they ask me to do, I'm going to do. And I know that Play Action Real, who's one of the guys on there, he goes, I'm tailing Joe with his horse racing bets. Well, let me tell you something. When people start tailing, that's when I start losing. But, you know, I've been losing. I'm 0 for my last 8 races over the last 7 days. I had one race which was canceled, but, you know, it goes like that. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But I'm going to be in Vegas, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The first part of it's going to be a lot of work, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You know, a couple of days there, it's going to be a little, what am I going to do? You know, I'm probably going to sleep as much as possible on Saturday if I don't have to do anything Bleacher Brothers related. If you follow my articles on BleacherBrothers.com, I have my own portion of Quills Picks Winners, my horse racing thing. You can go onto BleacherBrothers.com, click that icon, you can see the latest race. Matter of fact, I gotta turn in my article that I wrote today. Tomorrow's race is going to be from Tampa Bay Downs. 10 horses are going to run. Well, technically 9 because there's a main track only on the turf race. But 10 races, 10 horses for tomorrow on the turf. And you'll see my pick there. I'll still have them written. I'm probably going to have to write a couple days in advance because who knows. I mean, I might be doing 4 or 5 races at 4 or 5 days at once on Monday just to get everything caught up, and who knows, maybe I'm posting that stuff up myself, I don't know, but either way, I am going to be in Vegas. I'm excited for this. My first trip in Vegas, and up until now, only a few people have known about this. My buddy Mike, my buddy Jerry, Steve, I think I told. So that's 3 people that I've worked with in some way, shape, or form. Those 3 know. SJ knows, Brian knows, Maddie, who's usually here, they knew. But, you know, I didn't tell the general public. I wasn't saying, hey, I'm going to Vegas. because first of all, I just want to make it the least obvious as possible, because hey, I'm going to Vegas for 3 weeks, and I come home 3 weeks later, and somebody's broken into my apartment, or somebody breaks into your home. If you're saying, oh, look at these pics, I probably post a picture here or there, but this place is pretty secure, so I don't have to worry about anything. But um, yeah, I'm excited for this. Um, I'll be hanging out with Tony Bruno, AJ Johnson, Play Action Reel, the Penguin AZ, Uncle Rico, Luch on Ice. I think is going to be there. A whole bunch of us is there, and I'm excited to meet a bunch of people, and get to meet some of Tony Bruno's show guys, and who knows, maybe I can take Tony up on a challenge that Tony said on December 6th show. Oh, Joe should be doing the music on the show. Hey Tony, let me take over the wheels of steel here, because I do have my online radio station, power109radio.us. That name's going to be changing soon, by the way. But I am excited. My first time on Radio Row, and you never know, it might be my only time, because you never know. Year after year, you never know when you're going to. You never know if you're going to get the same weekends at my job. I know with my position right now, I'm at the bottom of the list in terms of seniority, even though I've been there as long as I have. It's just that they haven't hired in years. I just think you have a great opportunity. I have a great opportunity here to get my name out there. And, even if it's just something to get myself out there. And that's what I would encourage anybody that listens to the show who is young. If you're in your 20s, if you're in your late teens, if you're going to college. The one thing, I had a kid ask me a couple of years ago when my podcast first started, he goes, what do you recommend? And I told him some things that he didn't expect. I said, listen, do stuff that can fill your resume. Internships, sports jobs. Even if there's something that you do just like a one-day thing, as long as you're getting it on your resume, do it. That's what I would tell you. Because I tell the story every once in a while. I wanted to do an internship when I was going through Drexel in the sports management program. I go to my advisor, I said, hey, I saw this great offer for an internship. I want to apply to it. Can I use this for credit for getting my master's degree? They said it's a great program, but you will not get credit because you get paid for it. So I'm like, crap. So I really would tell anybody who's listening to this that has kids that wants, it doesn't even need to apply for sports, any business. Get your name out there, do an internship, do a job that's related to the field, get something on your resume so that when you go to that next job, they'll say, I like that. Even though they may not be saying it in person, or they may be looking at that, because the worst thing you can do is just go there, give your resume, and you never hear that call back because they took a look at the resume and they're like, I don't like this kid. Right in the trash can. But, get your name out there, do a podcast, do a live show. Like for example, Stephen Luker. He's in the Dan Patrick School of Broadcasting with Full Sail University. He's got a great opportunity because he's getting to be part of the Bleacher Brothers show. and it's a they're he's got a great thing going. And I apologize for yawning there, but um, you know, just some things that I can tell you that I'm going to be trying to do on my own, even though I don't have my resume ready. I don't have business cards. I don't have any, um, any QR codes to give people. But I'm excited to see who I can meet out there. I'm even meeting some of my free-for-all friends out there. I already let know one person, which I have not met in person yet. I'm going to be seeing her hopefully, um, and maybe we can have a mini free-for-all reunion since I'll be in town for 9 days. So, but yeah, I'm excited, and and that's something I've been holding for the last few weeks. And as soon as I got the word, got my reservations, got my flight, and I'm excited. I'm also scared. Because you never know, this may lead to something. It's just that I got to get everything ready, and packing for 9 days, I haven't done something like that in a long time. So, and also it's not like summertime packing. You got to carry some bulky crap with you. So, but anyways, that was my big news. I'm going to be in Vegas. I may even do some um, um, what's the term that they use? Real time feeds, whatever they call it. Just like just a man about town, just joking around. Hey, you know, what do you think is your best attribute with the Chiefs or something? Something like that. Little things, just having fun, because that's what I try to do here with you guys here on twitch.tv/Joe Quills with my articles on Bleacher Brothers, hanging out on Bleacher Brothers, or whatever chat room I may be in. But whatever we're going to do, I'm excited for this. And if it leads to something great, if not, that's okay too. Because it's all about getting your name out there. And I may be a little older, but I'm ready to do some different things in my life. And that's, it may be one step up, two steps back. It may be that it doesn't completely happen, and that's okay. You get knocked down 8, you get up 9. That's what I would tell the people that are actually going to listen to some of the crap that I'm saying. So, but it is important stuff. So, anyways, that's going to be it for tonight. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in, watching After the Fact on YouTube, also watching here on twitch.tv/Joe Quills After the Fact, and listening on the podcast. And by the way, I'm not a person that goes with numbers. I go with where my hits are. I did get a hit in Canada. It was in Ontario. I don't know where it was off the top of my head. But thank you, and hopefully you enjoyed the show. And hopefully there's a whole lot more that you'll listen to in the future. And spread the word about the Philly Guy Speaks podcast here on twitch.tv/Joe Quills. And we're going to have a good time here. And I even had a new follower that joined in while I was offline, BG Mike 12. If you're watching After the Fact, thank you for joining me, and I'm going to hit this little alert just for craps and giggles. There you go. And thank you for following BG Mike. And that's going to be it for now. Do want to thank everybody for joining me. I don't know if there's going to be a Philly fade on Thursday night. There may be, there may not. And if there is a Thursday fade, it'll probably be either hockey related. Well, it's not hockey related because they're on their All-Star break. Either NBA related or college basketball related. So I've been doing pretty well in college basketball. I took a couple of beats here in the late window well, what I call the late window, because I was betting early games and then late games. But yeah, it happens sometimes. But so I do want to thank everybody, and I will catch you Thursday night here on twitch.tv/Joe Quills. And just a reminder, check out bleacherbrothers.com for all your sports needs. Lots of great articles that have been popping up, great writers. We're connected with Florida Atlantic University as well. And, hey, Florida Atlantic, you want to send me some swag my way? I'm more than happy to represent it. Hell, I'll even go on Temple's campus and represent. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And catch you Thursday here on Twitch and on YouTube and podcast-wise. So have a great night, everybody. Catch you Thursday.